Hello dear viewers, a very warm welcome to our channel. It's very good to have you here. In this video, we're going to have a look at signs your engine has a serious problem. If you notice any of the following signs, then it is important to address them promptly to avoid further damage and costly repairs. Let's have a look at some of the top signs that indicate your engine has a serious problem. Well, the first and most common indication, the most obvious sign of a bad engine is a check engine light that is illuminated. A glowing check engine light indicates a potential issue with the engine or with the emission system or with the electronics of the engine itself. So if you happen to observe a check engine light that remains on after the engine has been started, that is the most obvious indication of a serious problem in the engine. Second on the list is serious noise. Lots of noise could indicate trouble within the engine. For example, you could be hearing a knocking or pinging noise. That could indicate engine knocking due to poor fuel quality, due to timing problem, or due to some mechanical problem within the engine. You might also be hearing grinding or screeching noise. This is often related to worn out belts, worn out bearings, or internal engine component. If you hear ticking or tapping noise, that may suggest low oil pressure. That may also suggest valve train issues. So strange noise is another indication of a serious problem within the engine. Then, if you happen to notice that the engine power has significantly reduced, loss of power, and noticeable decrease or drop in acceleration or overall engine performance is another indication of a serious problem within the engine. This could be associated to compression loss, it could be associated with poor ignition system problem or poor fuel system, or it could be related to some mechanical wear and tear going on inside the engine. Excessive smoke coming out of the exhaust is another indication of a trouble within the engine. If, for example, you happen to notice that massive blue smoke is coming out of the tailpipe, that indicates your engine is burning oil. This is often due to worn piston rings or worn valve seal. If you happen to notice there is massive white smoke being emitted from the exhaust, that is usually associated with coolant leaking into the combustion chamber. If, for example, the head gasket is blown, then there is a high possibility of coolant getting sucked into the cylinder, and that will produce white smoke. If you notice there is black smoke coming out of the tailpipe, that is an indication of too much fuel being burned, rich fuel mixture being burned inside the cylinder. So excessive smoke from the exhaust is another indication of a problem within the engine. Overheating. If the engine temperature gauge in the red zone, or if there is steam coming out of the hood, that is another indication of a serious problem within the engine. It could be due to a cooling system problem, it could be due to a thermostat stuck closed. Lots of issues can lead to engine overheating. Rust and scale developed inside the cooling system, water jackets, all this can lead to engine overheating. Oil leak is another serious problem. If you notice there is puddle of oil under your car, if you see oil drop, if you see oil level dropping gradually, or if you need top up very frequently, that indicates a problem within the engine. It could be burning oil or it could be leaking somewhere. So oil leak is another indication of a problem. If there is low oil pressure warning light on your dashboard, if it remains on, or if the engine is equipped with an oil pressure gauge and the gauge indicates low pressure all the time, this is very, very serious problem. So this would lead to total engine damage if it is not taken care of immediately. This could be caused by poor oil pump performance. It could be caused by blocked oil passage, oil filter blocked. All this could lead to low oil pressure. Rough idle is another indication. If your engine shakes or vibrates excessively while idling, that is another indication of a engine trouble. Poor fuel economy is another suggestion. A sudden drop in miles per gallon could indicate engine inefficiency. It could be related to lots of problems. It has to do with the ignition system, with the fuel system, and the electronic control system. All this can be a cause for poor fuel economy, restricted air passage, restricted air strainer, air filter, blocked passage, dirty throttle body, dirty MAF air sensor. All this can cause poor fuel economy. If you happen to notice that the engine is sometimes stalling, engine shuts off unexpectedly, often this is due to a fuel or ignition system issue. So engine stalling is another problem that can happen. Difficulty starting is another indication of a trouble going inside the engine. Difficulty starting could be caused by lots of problems. If the engine crank but it does not start, if it takes longer to start than usual, that could be an indication of a big trouble. It could be caused by fuel delivery problem. It could be caused by ignition problem. It could be caused by poor battery. All this would result in difficulty starting. Engine misfire. If the engine is running unevenly or if it starts jerking, this is often due to a faulty spark plug. It could be caused by faulty ignition coil, or it could be caused by faulty fuel injectors. All this could lead to engine misfiring. So this is also another indication of a trouble within the engine. If you happen to notice that there are coolant leaks, low coolant level, frequent low coolant level, frequent addition of coolant required, if you happen to notice there is a visible leak of coolant, all this can be a cause for engine overheating. So coolant leak is an issue that needs addressing. Unusual smell can also be an indicative of trouble within the engine. For example, if there is a burning oil smell, that indicates an oil leak. If there is a sweet smell coming from the engine, that indicates a coolant leak. This is often from a failing head gasket. Or if you happen to have fuel smell, this is possible fuel system leak. All these unusual smells can be a warning sign as well. Vibration while driving. Excessive vibration, especially at higher speeds, could indicate engine imbalance or engine misfire. If there are things that are running the balance of the engine off, that would lead to vibration. So if one of the cylinder is misfiring, for example, that will hinder the smooth rotation of the engine. So vibration while driving is another indication of issues within the engine. Loud exhaust, louder than normal exhaust, could also indicate some kind of problem with the exhaust system. For example, if the exhaust system is leaky, if there is hole in the exhaust system, or if there are some extremely violent combustion going on inside the engine, if there are engine issues, that could lead to loud exhaust. So loud exhaust is also another indication of a problem within the engine. Now let's go ahead to the engine oil. If you find metal shavings in the engine oil, visible metal particles in the engine oil during an oil change, they signal internal engine wear. So look for the nature of the oil when you replace it. Does it have any metal shaving? Does it have any copper shavings or all that kind of stuff that indicates a mechanical problem? Excessive wear inside the engine is indicated by metal shaving in the engine oil. Then the other indication is excessive emission. If you happen to have recently tested your engine for emission, and if it has failed emission test, strong exhaust fumes, or indicating incomplete combustion. So issues that cause incomplete combustion will accelerate the emission of your engine. It could be hydrocarbon, excessive hydrocarbon emission, excessive CO emission, and excessive NOx emission. All these are indicatives of trouble within the engine. And backfiring. There are times where you happen to notice engine backfiring. This is basically loud popping or banging noise from the exhaust. This is often due to timing problem. If the ignition timing is not correct, or if the air-fuel mixture is not correct, that could be cause for engine backfiring. So if you happen to hear that coughing, that popping that going on inside the exhaust, that engine backfire could be associated with a problem with the ignition timing, ignition problem, or problem with the mixture formation. And finally, milky or foamy oil. That is also an indication of trouble within the engine. Or if oil appears milky or foamy, it suggests coolant is mixing with the engine oil. This is basically caused by leakage on the head gasket side, or it could be caused by crack within the cylinder head or within the engine block. That could mix engine oil with water. So coolant mixing with engine oil will result in milky or foamy oil. So these are some of the top indicatives of a bad engine. So what are some of the things that you can do if you happen to notice any of these signs? Well, the first thing you should do is stop driving that engine. If the problem is severe, for example, if the engine is overheating, if you hear loud knocking, then stop driving to prevent further damage. Then proceed to check for basic issues. For example, inspect the engine oil, inspect the coolant, and look at the belts or for any leaks or wear. And if you happen to have a OBD2 scanner, then scan the vehicle for error codes. And if the issue happens to be bigger, consult a professional mechanic. Then let a professional diagnose and repair the issue. So these are some of the top indicatives of a failing engine. If you ignore these signs, this can lead to catastrophic engine failure. So act quickly to protect your vehicle and your engine. Well, dear viewers, that is all we have for you regarding some of the top signs your engine has a serious problem. If you find this video helpful, please smash the like button. If you are new to this channel, do consider subscribing, turn on notifications so that you'll be the first to get notified whenever we come up with another video. Until then, stay safe.